You are the only person, you and your husband, who are going to know your children and the stories from their childhood, but you will not remember if you don't write it down. Welcome home. This is one of my favorite people in the whole world. Her name is Allison, and we have had the privilege of sharing a life together. We're going to talk about the importance of keeping some kind of record about your family, because frankly, who is going to know them as a child? You are the only person, you and your husband, who are going to know your children and how they behaved and the stories from their childhood. And if you don't somehow record them, they'll be lost. I don't care how you do it. Does it matter how you do it?
Absolutely not. Just that you do it.
You probably change the way you do it every 6 weeks because that's how things are. But you just have to try to do it. I'm going to show you my very first thing.
You told me about this when I first had my children.
Yeah.
And this was a great way to quickly remember what your children did.
Frankly, I was overwhelmed. And the idea that I needed to then record it seemed like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But it's got to happen. And so I think you need to just buy some little box of some kind and leave it in your kitchen, because that's where you are a lot of the time.
Yes.
And every time something happens, we would take out the card, we would write it down and stick it underneath the file that had that child's name on it. I just tried to put the year or the date and how old they were, and then sometimes it was like 4 words or 5 words that could help me remember something that happened in someone's life. This is about a certain brother you have.
Okay.
Okay, he was 5 years old, and I walked past his bedroom, and on his wall in black crayon, he had written,
Spencer.
on the wall.
Yes.
So I came down the stairs and I said, Spencer, why did you write your name on the wall? And
How did you know it was me?
He asked me that. How did you know it was me? And I said, Spencer, you wrote your name. Of course I knew it was you. So we spent the rest of the afternoon scrubbing off the name off the wall. The next day, I walked past his room.
Batman.
Was written on the wall. I ran downstairs. I took out a 3x5 card. I wrote, Spencer, Batman, 5, and I just wrote that on this card and stuck it back in there and closed it up, because that's all I could do. She started, instead of doing this, into the scrapbooking thing that was so popular.
I did, yeah.
Several years ago.
And it's okay if you do a half a page. It's okay if you do this right here. It doesn't matter. Just do something.
There are some journals that are called smash books. Smash things in, put in stuff, so you just remember. I had a mother who just picked up everything in the newspaper, who she thought might be interesting at all to me, and she just stuck it in a book for probably 10 or 15 years. It was a long time.
She did. Oh, this is fun. This is a family cookbook. The thing I really love about this particular one is the pictures that we were able to put into them. My mom had us take pictures of all of our quilts. So on certain pages, there's a quilt that I did, or on another page is a quilt that somebody else did or my mom did. They all have a little story behind them, and they're a remembrance to us. The other thing I love about it is the quotes on the bottom were so fun, and they mean so much.
I actually think the recipes, when you go through and you see a recipe, Grandma M. Some of my grandchildren will never know Grandma M.
Yes.
But they might know her pumpkin pie recipe.
Or her chocolate chip muffins.
I'm going to have Allison repeat something she told me today. I had all the aunts on one of the side of my family were redheaded. I gave it 11 tries. Surely somebody would come up with red hair.
Never did it happen.
My daughter Rebecca sent me a note one year for Mother's Day.
Well, Mom, I know you wanted a redhead. Well, sorry, because you got an airhead. Mom, I'm sure you wanted a girl who picked up her mess, or even complained a little less. But Mom, I love you, and glad I was the baby for you. Even though I'm not a redhead, I know that you love me too. Then, my daughter has her first child, and she has red hair.
And it's not a little red.
It is red.
It's red.
Yesterday, I was able to tell my granddaughter, do you know how excited your Grammy was when you came and you had this red hair? And the smile on her face, she just beamed because of her beautiful red hair. So that's why we told this particular little story.
So save these stories. I've got a sister-in-law, Melanie. I think she could tell you what each child was doing in her family each day, probably for 20 years. It's amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
So if you just keep a journal, keep your stories in there. And thank goodness we have those wonderful phones now.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So many of you are so good at taking pictures and putting a little text on them and sending them out to everyone. Keep it up.
Yeah.
That's journaling. There are so many people who will tell you to clean up all those little pieces of scrap paper. Don't believe them. Save those little pieces, those little handprints and those wonderful things. Not all of them. You're going to have to make a choice.
Just like you can't hang everything up on the fridge.
I learned something important from going to a girls' school where girls went who were having significant problems with their life. The foster care parents told me that the moment the young women came into their home, they would take pictures of them and post those pictures on the refrigerator because then it was that girl's home. They belong.
They're part of my clan. They're part of my family.
Exactly. So save these stories. Children are going to ask what you were like when you were little. They're going to ask what they were like when they were little. They don't remember.
And you won't remember.
And you won't remember.
You think you will.
You think you will because it was so cute.
Yes.
What they did was so amazing.
Yes.
But you will not remember if you don't write it down.
Absolutely.
Later on in your life, if you get someone who's away from home and they're sending home letters, post those letters together, leave it on the counter where everyone can read it. Begin where you are, just start some tiny way of keeping those little stories so that you have them. It's like this in life. You think, oh, I'm so far behind. I'm not going to do it. And when you stop, don't say, oh, well, I stopped. I'm just going to forget it. Because it's like brushing your teeth. Just because you forget for 2 days, you don't say,
oh, well.
I forgot for 2 days, so I think I'll just forget for the rest of my life.
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
You pick it up and you do it again. We want you to know that we're crazy about you.
Absolutely. And your children are crazy about you. And they want to know about you. I want to know how you grew up. Well, thanks.
And I knew how she grew up. So anyway, we love you and start today. Share this video with everyone you know because every child's life needs to be remembered. Your life needs to be remembered. And when you do journaling or keeping records of any kind, it's like you've got the book out like this and they fly by you like butterflies and you catch them and you put them down on paper. Because in the end, it's our memories that define us.